Everyone thinks they know California. They picture Silicon Valley. They picture Zuckerberg in his gray t-shirt, Jensen Huang on a stage with a GPU the size of a surfboard. They picture garages in Palo Alto where 20-somethings turned lines of code into billions of dollars overnight. And yes, that world is real. That wealth is real. But here is what nobody tells you. The 5 families we are about to reveal did not build their fortunes in the last decade. They did not IPO their way to power. They did not ring a bell on Wall Street. They built empires so deep, so old, and so carefully constructed that most Californians walk through their properties every single day without knowing who owns the ground beneath their feet. One of these families started with a pair of jeans that didn't fit. One of them poured the concrete for the Hoover Dam. One of them controls nearly $1 trillion in other people's money, from a quiet office in the San Francisco Bay Area. And almost nobody outside the finance world knows their name. One man on this list doesn't just own buildings in California. He owns an entire county. The newspaper called it, and we quote, more power than Howard Hughes ever had. And number one has been here since before California was a state, before Hollywood, before Silicon Valley, before any of it. And the story of how they almost lost everything, and the kidnapping that shocked the world, is something no other video has told the way we are about to tell it. Today, apexstatus reveals the 5 richest families in California. If you are new to the channel, hit subscribe right now. We are just getting started. And you do not want to miss what is coming at number 1. Number 5, the Fischer Family. The $63,000 blueprint. In 1969, a San Francisco real estate developer named Donald Fischer walked into a store on Ocean Avenue looking for a pair of Levi's jeans. He found nothing that fit. No jeans in his size, no help from the staff, just a fluorescent-lit store with racks that made no sense. Most people would have gone home frustrated. Donald Fischer went home and started a business. He and his wife Doris, a Stanford economics graduate, one of the first women to earn that degree, that scraped together $63,000. They signed a lease on a small storefront in San Francisco. They stocked it with Levi's jeans and record albums because that is what the counterculture wanted, and they called it the Gap. The name came from the generation gap, the chasm between parents and their children that defined that era. In the first year, they made $2 million in profit. That number is worth pausing on. $63,000 in, $2 million back, in 12 months, with no retail experience, in a city they had lived in their entire lives. What Donald and Doris Fischer understood, before the industry had a name for it, was specialty retail. One product done perfectly in an environment that felt like it belonged to the customer. Not a department store, not a boutique, something in between, something new. By the 1990s, the Gap had expanded into Banana Republic, into Old Navy, which hit $1 billion in sales within 4 years of opening, a retail record at the time, into Athleta, into a global brand operating over 3,400 stores across the world. At the peak, the Fischer family received $100 million a year in dividends, just from dividends. But here is the detail that most people miss entirely. The Fischer family is not just a retail dynasty, they are a land dynasty. Today, the family owns 440,000 acres of land in California alone, making them one of the 30 largest private landowners in the entire United States. That is more land than the city of Los Angeles. Their Atherton estate alone went to market in 2021 for $100 million. Donald Fischer passed away in 2009, but Doris and their 3 sons, William, Robert, and John, continue to hold roughly 43% of Gap's equity through a web of family trusts. The Fischer family's combined net worth, approximately $7 to $9 billion, a pair of jeans that didn't fit, and an empire that still dresses the world. Remember that number, 440,000 acres. We will need it when we get to number 2, because what you are about to hear about land ownership in California will make even the Fischers look like renters. Number 4, the Bechtel Family, the builders of nations. In 1898, A man named Warren Bechtel arrived in the Oklahoma Territory with a mule team and a contract to grade railroad beds. He had no college degree. He had no family money. He had a strong back, a sharp eye for terrain, and an absolute refusal to turn down a job that scared other men. That mule team would eventually become the most powerful engineering and construction firm in American history. The Bechtel Company, headquartered for most of its life in San Francisco, has spent 5 consecutive generations doing the work that changes maps. They built the Hoover Dam, the colossal concrete arch that tamed the Colorado River and brought electricity to the American West. They built the San Francisco Bay Area rapid transit system. They constructed pipelines across Saudi Arabia. They built the Channel Tunnel between England and France. When Kuwait was liberated after the Gulf War in 1991, it was Bechtel that was called in to extinguish the oil well fires and begin rebuilding the country. 147 burning wells, a nation on fire. Bechtel put it out. Here is how they built it. The Bechtel model was never about doing the cheap job. It was about being the only company in the world that could do the impossible one. Warren Bechtel understood that if you take the contract nobody else will sign, you will never run out of work. His son Steve expanded that philosophy globally. His grandson Riley took it into the nuclear age. Each generation did not inherit the company. They earned control of it by solving problems that defined their era. But the Bechtel family was not immune to near disaster. In the early 1980s, the company's foray into nuclear power, specifically the Seabrook nuclear power plant in New Hampshire, became a financial and regulatory nightmare. Construction costs exploded. Protests erupted. The project dragged for years, and Bechtel's reputation in domestic nuclear construction took a serious hit. The family made a decision: refocus. Redirect the company's energy toward international infrastructure, where their expertise was unmatched and their competition was thin. That pivot saved the company and defined the next 40 years. Stanford graduate Brendan Bechtel took over as CEO in 2017, becoming the 5th generation to lead the firm. He moved the headquarters to Virginia, a controversial decision for a company built in San Francisco, but he kept the family's ownership structure intact. The Bechtel family's estimated net worth, approximately $10 billion, 5 generations, 127 years. And somewhere on this earth right now, there is a tunnel, a dam, a pipeline, or a port that exists because a man with a mule team refused to say no. Number 3, the Johnson family. The invisible trillion. Most people have never heard the name Johnson in the context of California wealth. That is entirely by design. In 1947, a man named Rupert Johnson Sr. founded a small investment firm in a single room in New York City. He named it Franklin, after Benjamin Franklin, whose face appeared on the $100 bill and whose philosophy of thrift and compound interest Rupert believed in completely. The company eventually moved its headquarters to San Mateo, California in the 1970s, and there it has stayed. Franklin Resources, known to most investors as Franklin Templeton, became one of the most powerful mutual fund companies in the world, not by being flashy, not by taking risks that made headlines, by being relentlessly consistent, by managing money for teachers, nurses, firefighters, and retirees, people who had one shot to get retirement right. The Johnsons understood the weight of that responsibility, and they built a company that took it seriously. Here is the number that defines this family's power. Franklin Templeton currently manages approximately $1.6 trillion in assets. That is not the Johnson family's money. That is other people's money. And the Johnsons control how it moves. The family still owns roughly 40% of the publicly listed company. That stake, in a firm managing $1.5 trillion, translates to an estimated family net worth of $10.5 billion. Charles Johnson, son of the founder, served as CEO for 3 decades and expanded the company into international markets at a time when American fund managers were still thinking domestically. His brother, Rupert Johnson Jr., became vice chairman. The second generation did not simply inherit power, they amplified it. The The crucible for the Johnson family came in 2020. Franklin Templeton made global headlines for a reason they never anticipated. An employee in Central Park called the police on a black birdwatcher, and the video went viral. The company terminated the employee within hours. But the episode forced a reckoning, and the Johnson family's leadership had to confront the gap between their institutional reputation and the world outside their fund reports. They responded by doubling down on internal culture reform and expanding their diversity commitments in a way that was quiet, consistent, and very much in keeping with how they had always operated, without press releases, without spectacle, without drama. The Johnson family's estimated net worth, $10.5 billion. A single room in New York, a belief in Benjamin Franklin's philosophy, and somewhere in a pension fund right now, your retirement money might be moving because of a decision made in San Mateo. Before we get to the top two, if you have not subscribed yet, now is the time. The names coming up are ones most people have never fully understood. You do not want to miss them. Number 2, the Bren family, the man who owns a city. In 1958, a 26-year-old Marine Corps officer named Donald Bren left the military and picked up a hammer. He went to work as a carpenter's helper in his father's construction business in Orange County, California. He had a degree from the University of Washington, a deep knowledge of the land, and an idea about how communities should be built. Not just houses, communities, the roads, the parks, the office buildings, the shopping centers, the open space, all of it planned from scratch, designed as one coherent whole. In 1963, Bren and a group of partners purchased 10,000 acres south of Irvine and built the master-planned city of Mission Viejo from the ground up. He did it right. He sold his stake in 1967, walked away with the proceeds, and started looking for the next canvas. He founded in 1977. The Irvine Company was one of the oldest and largest private landowners in California, a 93,000-acre ranch that traced its origins to Mexican land grants in the 19th century. A consortium of investors purchased it that year. Donald Bren entered as a 34.3% stakeholder. Then he started buying out his partners, quietly and systematically, one transaction at a time. By 1983, he was the majority owner and chairman. By 1996, he had completed the full buyout. Donald Bren was the sole owner of the Irvine Company, and with it, the single largest private landowner in California. What he did next is what separates him from every other real estate developer in American history. He did not flip the land. He did not sell it in pieces. He held it. He built on it slowly, deliberately, with a philosophy he would later describe in a 2011 interview. When you hold property over the long term, you are able to create better values, and you have something tangible to show for it. Today, the Irvine Company owns more than 120 million square feet of real estate, the majority in Southern California, 550 office buildings, 125 apartment complexes, 40 shopping centers, 5 marinas, 3 golf courses, Fashion Island in Newport Beach, the Irvine Spectrum Center, a 97% stake in the MetLife building in Manhattan. In 2005, OC Weekly wrote that Donald Bren wields more power than Howard Hughes ever did, probably as much as any man in America over a concentrated region, determining not only how people live and shop, but who governs them. The Los Angeles Times, in 2006, put it even more simply. Orange County looks like Orange County because of Donald Bren. Bren kept a ferociously private life. He has 6 children from multiple relationships and 3 marriages. He lives in Newport Beach. He has given over $2 billion to education, conservation, and research, more money donated to the University of California system than any single donor in UC history. The Bren family's estimated net worth, $19 billion. One man, one company, one county that he quietly, methodically made his own. And now, number 1. Number 1, the Hearst family, the original California dynasty. Before we begin, we need to go back. Not 10 years, not 20, not even 50. We are going back to 1850, before California was a state, before the gold rush had a name that history books would remember, before any of the families on this list existed. A 29-year-old man from a log cabin in Missouri climbed onto a wagon train and rode west. His name was George Hearst. George Hearst had no formal education. Local Native Americans, according to historical accounts, called him the boy the earth talks to, because he had an almost supernatural ability to read terrain, to look at a piece of ground and know what was underneath it. He arrived in Placerville, California in October 1850 and began prospecting. What he found over the next 3 decades was not one mine. It was a series of mines so large they changed the economic geography of the United States. The Comstock Lode in Nevada, the Homestake Gold Mine in South Dakota, which would go on to become the largest and deepest gold mine in North American history, operating for 125 years. The Ontario Silver Mine in Utah, the Anaconda Copper Mine in Montana, which supplied the copper for the electrical infrastructure of a modernizing America. George Hearst became so powerful that the state of California elected him to the United States Senate in 1887. When he died in 1891, he left behind a fortune in mining claims, land, and cash. His only son, William Randolph Hearst, looked at that fortune and decided to do something his father never considered. He wanted to tell the world what to think. At the age of 23, William Randolph Hearst took control of the San Francisco Examiner, which his father had acquired as payment for a gambling debt. He was told it was a money-losing paper. He turned it profitable in 18 months. Then he bought the New York Journal, then 20 more newspapers, then magazines at Cosmopolitan, Harper's Bazaar, Good Housekeeping, then newsreels, then radio stations. By the 1920s, 1 in every 4 Americans received their news from a Hearst publication. 1 in 4. Think about what that means. William Randolph Hearst did not just report on American culture. He shaped it. His newspapers championed or destroyed political careers. They invented what journalists would later call yellow journalism. Sensational, emotional, outrage-driven news designed not just to inform, but to inflame. Critics despised him. Politicians feared him. And on a hilltop in San Simeon, California, he built a castle, 56 bedrooms, 61 bathrooms, 127 acres of gardens, where Charlie Chaplin, Greta Garbo, and Winston Churchill came for weekend parties. He called it La Cuesta Encantada, the Enchanted Hill. Today, the state of California calls it a historic landmark and charges tourists $25 to walk through it. But every dynasty has its crucible, and the Hearsts had too. The first came in the late 1930s and 1940s. William Randolph Hearst had spent decades collecting art, manuscripts, ancient armor, entire Spanish monasteries shipped stone by stone across the Atlantic. He had spent beyond even his extraordinary means. By 1937, the Hearst Corporation was facing financial collapse. Creditors were circling. The estate was hemorrhaging cash. A financial trust was established to manage his assets. Hearst was forced to sell portions of his art collection, items he had spent a lifetime acquiring, just to keep the company alive. He recovered. The corporation stabilized, but the lesson was written into the family's institutional memory in permanent ink. The fortune must be protected through structure, not through personality. When William Randolph Hearst died in 1951, he did something unusual. He did not divide his estate among his 5 sons directly. He created a board of 13 trustees, 5 family members, and 8 Hearst Corporation executives to manage the entire fortune as a single entity. That structure, that trust, became the armor that protected everything that came after. The second crucible arrived in 1974, and it shook the world. On the night of February 4th, 1974, a 19-year-old UC Berkeley student named Patricia Hearst, granddaughter of William Randolph, was in her apartment near campus when armed intruders broke down the door. They beat her fiancé. They blindfolded her. They threw her into the trunk of a car. The Symbionese Liberation Army, an obscure, violent, far-left group, announced they were holding Patricia Hearst as a prisoner of war. They demanded that the Hearst family distribute $70 in food to every poor person in California as ransom. The family donated $2 million in food, the equivalent of nearly $13 million today. Patricia was not released. What happened next became one of the most disturbing stories of the 20th century. Over the following months, Patricia Hearst appeared to transform. She adopted a new name. She participated in a bank robbery. She was photographed holding an assault rifle inside a Hibernia bank in San Francisco on April 15, 1974. The FBI issued a warrant for her arrest. When she was finally captured in 1975, the trial divided the country. Her defense argued she had been brainwashed. The prosecution argued she had made choices. She was convicted of bank robbery and sentenced to 7 years. President Jimmy Carter commuted her sentence after 22 months. President Bill Clinton issued a full pardon in 2001. The Hearst family survived it. The corporation survived it. The trust structure that William Randolph had built held everything together while the family's most public member was headline news for 2 years. Today, the Hearst Corporation generates over $10 billion in annual revenue. The company operates across more than 360 business lines, newspapers, magazines, television stations, digital media, and the Fitch Group credit rating agency, acquired in 2018 for $2.8 billion. The trust distributes dividends to over 65 members of the Hearst family, descendants of a man from a Missouri log cabin who looked at a piece of California dirt and knew exactly what was underneath. The Hearst family's estimated net worth, $21 to $35 billion, depending on how you value the private trust. And that is the richest family in California. Not a tech founder, not a venture capitalist, not a semiconductor engineer who got rich in the last decade, a miner, a publisher, a dynasty, 175 years old and still running. Here is what this list tells you if you look at it the right way. 5 families, 5 industries, mining, retail, engineering, finance, real estate, media. Not one of them made their fortune in Silicon Valley. Not one of them built an app. Not one of them raised a Series A. They built something slower, harder, and more durable, and they built it to last across generations. California is the most talked about economy in the world. But the conversation almost always begins and ends with technology. What you have just seen is the other California, the one that existed before the internet. The one that will likely exist long after the current wave of AI euphoria settles. Now here are the questions nobody is asking. Are there families in California wealthier than even the Hearsts? Families so private, so deeply structured behind trusts and holding companies that Forbes has never been able to fully value them? The answer is almost certainly yes. We are working on it. And what happens to these dynasties when the next generation arrives? The grandchildren and great-grandchildren who grew up with every advantage, who never knew the log cabin, never felt the mule team, never sat across from a creditor threatening to take everything? That is where dynasties are won and lost. Not in the founding, in the inheriting. If this video opened your eyes to the California you did not know existed, subscribe to apexstatus. Or hit the bell so you never miss a drop. And tell me in the comments, which family surprised you the most? We read every single one. We are tracking the money.